My dearest listener, I pray that you have not been consumed with worry in the time that's passed since I was last on the air. I write to you in the hope that you will put an end to the suffering on this wretched island. My captor informs me that if I am to survive, you must travel here alone with the means to purchase my freedom. That should a man of law be in your stead, it would seal my fate. Listener, I grow weary. I fear our Lord no longer hears my prayer, yet still I pray for your presence, for my saviour. Please bring me home, your beloved son, Joe Sherville, joined as ever by Chris Morris. Hello, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. That was a little quote there from this week's movie.
Verbatim, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Apostle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the movie.
That's the movie.
That's the movie, all right. It is a movie for sure. It's by Gareth Evans. Mm-hmm. It's from this year. It is a Netflix distributed and I think produced movie. So you can find it on Netflix. That's netflix.com.
A lot of free advertising for them on this podcast recently.
Yes, but that's because they've started doing good films. So why not? Now, the movie is on Netflix. Mm-hmm. I've said that already.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I can say it.
No.
I want to drive home the fact that it's on Netflix.
Yeah. If you're looking for it on Prime Video...
It won't be there.
It won't be there.
It will not be there.
No. If you go to your local cinema and go, I want to see Apostle, then they will call the police.
The only place to see it is on Netflix.
Yes.
And if you have seen it on Netflix, then you're in luck because you will not be spoiled. However, if you have not seen it, you will be spoiled.
Yes.
Thus, go and watch it on Netflix before you listen to this podcast,
please.
Or else it will be spoiled for you.
Yeah.
All of which is to say, we talk about the movie at length and we go all in. We don't leave any stone unturned or any prayer unanswered. We are going to talk about Apostle and how we would survive in it and everything we thought about it and everything there is to think about it after this.
Thomas, your sister, she's gone. These people, they're blasphemers. A cult, a disease. Bring her home.
Name? Thomas Richardson.
I dream of a world in which each waking day we rise equal. This island, it's our paradise. We have an intruder on our land. We have to find him.
Your eyes. They've seen things. Who are you?
So, Chris, a quick recap of the plot for Apostle, which is on Netflix. The year is 1905. The Richardson family receive a ransom letter declaring that their daughter Jennifer is being held by a cult on a Welsh island. They claim they will only release her to the father of the family in exchange for a sum of money. The father has become mentally incapacitated, so instead they send Thomas, their son, who has a dark past and an opium addiction. Through flashbacks, we learn that Thomas was a Christian missionary to Peking, where he was placed under torture during the Boxer Rebellion, which is when the locals rose up against the foreigners, which is the English people and Christians. Violent stuff. Thomas now carries painful scars, both mental and physical, and a strong distaste for religion. Arriving at the coast, Thomas poses as a convert to the cult and boards a ship, but not before swapping his ticket, which bears an easily identifiable mark, with that of another convert. Arriving at the island, Thomas meets Jeremy, a boy who is having a secret affair with Fionn. Jeremy's father, Frank, and Fionn's father, Quinn, are both founding members of the cult, along with Malcolm Howe, now called Prophet Malcolm, who is introduced proselytizing about the goddess of the island, who saved the three founders from a shipwreck during a prison escape some years before. He claims that the previously barren island was rendered fertile through blood sacrifice to this goddess. Mm-hmm. It's worth noting here that Malcolm and Quinn, who are the sort of two main founders, they have different visions for the island. Yeah. Malcolm is patient and faithful to the goddess, and Quinn is pious and violent. And we see them bicker whilst helping a ewe to deliver a lamb, which is born deformed and dies quickly. And it suggests there's some level of urgency to the fact that they need to deal with the fertility issue on the island.
Yeah, the implication is that something about the island is causing the deformities that these lambs are being born with.
Exactly. And we see another scene where like the crops are growing toxic and stuff.
Yeah, they've got like rot on the inside of them.
Thomas is appalled by the rituals he sees taking place around the island. Each evening before bed, the cult members are required to let blood into a jar and leave it outside their bedroom door.
That's fine.
So
that is fine.
There's also a strict curfew, which Thomas breaks immediately, running into Fionn and Jeremy, who have snuck out to have sex in secret. The man with whom Thomas swapped tickets is tortured on suspicion that he is Jennifer's father, because he was holding the marked ticket, and therefore they think he's hiding the ransom money. But they realise he's the wrong guy and cut his throat.
Yep.
Fine stuff. Now they're aware that there's an infiltrator on the island, so they force all the new members to line up in the church and recite the scripture of the cult from memory. Before they arrive at Thomas's turn, the man next to him jumps up and tries to assassinate Malcolm. Thomas is involved in the skirmish, and after the assassin is killed, Malcolm thanks Thomas for his help.
That scene reminds me of The Thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they're doing the blood test and they're going along the line, because you know, obviously, that if it reaches Thomas, the game's up.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're waiting for like what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a good tense scene.
Realising that they have a spy among them, the leaders decide to parade Jennifer, who's Thomas's sister, through the town and humiliate her. So that public humiliation sort of thing. They say they will torture her and kill her unless the spy comes forward. Thomas breaks into the tunnel beneath Malcolm's house and follows it, pursued by the three founders who have worked out who he is. He climbs into an underground stream of blood and guts, which every home has.
That's fine.
And is confronted by an elderly woman who leaps from the water and attacks him.
Good. The who was previously seen in the background
of a shot.
Yeah. Did you see that in the corridor?
Yeah. She walks past the window outside the church as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah.
Shortly, the elderly woman is also confronted by Malcolm. She is now bound by the roots of a tree, and Malcolm cuts his hand open and feeds her his blood, causing the flowers to bloom around her.
Yeah, so this scene comes out of fucking nowhere, doesn't it? And it is one of the maddest... Like, this is about 40% of the way through the film.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh, it's like... You know, is the cult a way to keep people in line? Is there something else going on?
Is there really a goddess?
Yeah. And you go, yep. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Here she is.
In the background, a masked assistant who wears like a beehive on his head.
Well, is it a beehive or is it like...
Wicker
it's like,
bucket or something.
Yeah. It's nightmarish.
He hangs Jennifer in a bag, presumably ready to be eaten.
Yeah.
In happier news, Fionn finds out that she's pregnant, and Jeremy asks her to marry him. In sadder news, Quinn, who's Fionn's father, believes that Fionn's baby will be deformed and damaged like the lamb, so kills her with a knife.
Good.
In even sadder news, Jeremy fights Quinn, but Quinn escapes the house and claims that Jeremy killed Fionn and attacked him.
Good.
And in the most sad news, Quinn condemns Jeremy to have his soul purified, which involves securing him to a table with engineering vices and then drilling the top of his head open. And that is that. Elsewhere on the island, Thomas has found Jennifer and freed her. Before they can escape, they're accosted by the masked goddess's assistant, who Thomas is able to overpower. He then confronts the goddess herself, who passes on some kind of power to him before asking him to end her suffering. He throws his lamp on her roots and she bursts into flames. Simultaneously, the whole town bursts into flames. Thomas finds Jennifer in the church, being held captive by Quinn. Quinn and Thomas fight and both mortally wound each other, but Thomas is able to finish the job. Jennifer escapes by boat from the island, leaving Thomas to die from his wounds, but before he can expire, Malcolm appears beside him, and the island begins to bloom and roots burrow under Thomas's skin as he appears to become the new god of the island. And that
is fine.
And that is the Apostle.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the Apostle, Chris?
Well, it's a bit of a departure compared to Gareth Evans' previous film, The Raid.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, Gareth Evans actually did a cult horror short film a few years ago for the sort of anthology horror movie VHS.
VHS 2.
Oh, but it was at VHS 2, yeah. Which is...
Adam Wingard made that. Am I right?
he was involved, I think, yeah. As was Brad Miska.
Great.
Yes. So he sort of showed his chops in that with horror, but that is like one of the most splattery, over the top, violent sort of horror shorts that I've ever seen. Like, it revels in how gory it is, and this is a lot more restrained
in some places.
And then also there's the trepanning sequence.
That was one boring scene, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good, very good. I think the film sets up a huge number of different plot points that it wants to mislead you with, and gleefully goes about misleading you with. But I think it goes so far in doing that I don't know whether Gareth Evans really knows what he wants the film to actually be. It's like he had several ideas for horror movies and he didn't know which one he liked best, so he made all of them into one film.
I think that's a little unfair. I think he made this exactly how he wanted it. I think everything where you're like, what? Is like, that's deliberate, because it's set up so perfectly to have your expectations put in a certain direction.
Yeah.
You can pull the rug from under you pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, but then I think it's quite difficult to tell someone concisely what the film is about. Like, you can't do a back of the napkin explanation of what the film's about, really.
Man goes to an island to save his sister from a cult.
Yeah.
The cult claimed to be worshipping a goddess who turns out to be real.
Yeah. But then that makes it sound exactly like The Wicker Man, right? Which is...
But there's no proof in The Wicker Man that it's real.
No, but you'd have to give away the twist to show that this film's not the same as The Wicker Man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's quite a difficult film to sell without spoiling the fact that it is gleefully using your expectations against you. Yeah, but I think that's
deliberate. Like, for the first hour, maybe not that long, you think it's The Wicker Man. You think this is a remake of The Wicker Man.
Yeah.
I think what I wrote down is that this is a cover version of The Wicker Man.
Yeah.
Because there's other parts to it, but it's The Wicker Man. It's a man goes to an island
to rescue a girl from a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you've got the sort of, you've got the Wicker Man stuff, then you've got like his opioid addiction, then you've got the proper cult stuff with Michael Sheen, who's really good in it, by the way.
Yeah,
I think he's one of the strongest parts in it. I really like Michael Sheen.
It's hard not to like, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I think he does a really great thing where he comes across as quite villainous towards the start of the film, but then he becomes quite a sympathetic character towards the end, I felt.
Only in comparison to the real villain.
Yes, but then, you know, and I think it feels like his heart is in the right sort of place.
Yeah.
And then you've got like all these, you know, it's set in 1900, but it could be set in anywhere between like, you know, flipping 1300 to like
today,
to 1950. But it's got you know, the cult stuff. It's got like the witch elements. I felt like, you know, old creepy lady in the background. It comes at night, sort of nightmarish vision really stuff. You've got like rivers of blood under the island, which is a bit like The Descent. You know, he's like dredging up all these different things, and it's not to say that it's not, because I did enjoy the film, and I think it's a quality piece of work.
It's gripping,
and it is gripping, but I felt like after a certain point, I was just sort of being taken for a ride by the film in a way that I don't know whether or not was good. It was sort of just like I was being dragged along, because I think after a certain point in the narrative, the film just starts moving at like 100 miles an hour, and it loses all of the sort of tense build-up stuff.
I think I still think that's deliberate. I don't know.
No, it may well be deliberate. It may well be.
Well, you mentioned a few films that it reminded you of, or that it clearly draws inspiration from. The Wicker Man, I think it's deliberate that it's like that, because like everyone knows it's the way The Wicker Man if you're a horror fan, and I think he wants you to feel that way until he's like, well, you know, you asking the questions, is he being tricked? Is this a hallucination? Yeah. And then he quite categorically answers those questions. One movie it reminded me of, which I don't think you've seen, is Silence.
Yeah.
the Martin Scorsese movie,
Sure.
which is
But definitely with the scenes of him being tortured.
yeah. Now,
In the Boxer Rebellion.
yeah, exactly. But the thing with that, right? Silence is a movie about some Jesuit priests from Portugal who go to Japan and are tortured, and it's basically to make them recant on their beliefs.
Yeah.
And they don't, or they do. That's the question the film asks. Are they going to? And there's a shot in that where one of the priests is looking in a puddle, and because he's suffering so much, he looks in the puddle and sees the reflection of Jesus in the puddle.
Right.
So he's obviously seeing himself as Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of feeling is what I got a bit from this movie.
Okay.
So you
looked at the film and saw yourself as Jesus.
Exactly. Well, Thomas becomes God at the end, right?
Yeah.
But earlier in the film, we see the cross, the crucifix being burnt to the ground, and him like silhouetted in front of it on his knees, having clearly lost his faith. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were to take it at the end of the film, something's going to happen. He burns down the religion of that, and then becomes the religion, so to speak. He becomes a God figure.
Yeah.
But if you take that reading back to the beginning, when he burns down that cross, like, is he becoming Jesus? Because after that, all his family are like, "Oh, I thought you were dead." So he's coming back from the dead.
Right.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. So there is a sort of Messiah.
Yeah, and he's like going to save everyone. I don't know. I don't know enough about Christian like law to be able to make that case stronger. But I think it's telling that they all thought he was dead after the crucifixion was shown like that.
But
he was shown.
Do you think he is the apostle
of
the title?
goddess?
That is in, because an apostle is
Someone who follows.
They're either specifically the 12 disciples were all apostles, or an apostle is a sort of pioneering missionary, or it says here vigorous and pioneering advocate or supporter of a particular policy, idea, or cause. So he's essentially he's like post faith, isn't he? In the first half of the film, certainly. He has lost his faith entirely.
Yeah.
So is he the apostle when he then becomes the new God, or do you think Michael Sheen is the apostle?
I think Michael Sheen's the. I don't know. I mean, I think what you've done there is notice the question of the film.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. But that's just, I don't know, I thought that was interesting.
No, I think
I'd like to explore it more, but there's very little written about this film.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Yeah. I think it does, it is, like you said, it's got a derivative setup, but I think it's trying extremely hard to do something different with that premise.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm not entirely convinced it did it completely. Because it's basically like a version of The Wicker Man where Sergeant Howie doesn't get burned alive, and then you see that they all of the things that they pray to do exist, and like it goes completely mad from that point onwards.
Yeah, it's like, what if Christopher Lee was there going, "Oh yeah, we pray to the goddess of fertility," and then this woman walked out and was like, "Yeah, hi, I'm the goddess of fertility. Very nice to meet you."
Yeah. I feel like this film has, or like that. The idea of taking that premise and going off in the direction it does is both good and bad, in that it's interesting to see what happens, but also it's I think maybe I enjoyed the more subtle stuff in the first half of the movie, and I think after a certain point the film abandons that and just goes mad. It just abandons subtlety. Well, I think pretty much from when you see the goddess in the vines onwards.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we've covered movies in the past which are tonally similar, and you've mentioned a few there. The Wicker Man, Rosemary's Baby, Kill List, Hereditary, It Comes at Night, and The Witch. And then all those movies, like you say, there's a continual threat of this like looming supernatural horror, right? Which is also underlined by a doubt about the main character's sanity or paranoia. Yeah, which I think making him a heroin addict makes sense, I guess, to an extent. It's like, he's obviously suffering a lot mentally. Mm-hmm. So in some of those movies, the question is left open as to whether or not it's all in their head, right, or whether it was actually happening. And I've often said on the podcast, I prefer when it's left open in a movie. Mm-hmm. But I have to say that I appreciate that Apostle does confront that and say, like, no, this is what's happening.
Yeah, I think the film is stronger for the fact that it picks a lane and sticks with it.
But it doesn't just pick it, it kicks the shit out of you for ever having any doubts. It's like, you're like, oh, maybe the cult's tricking him. Yep, they're tricking him, and here's a brutal execution of an old man.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's great that, in a way, that the confirmation of that stuff happens so early on in the film, because it gives you the rest of the film to really build on that.
I don't know. Well,
because otherwise, we've seen films where, let's say, for example, Hereditary, certain elements are suspected and ambiguous up until a certain point in the film where they're definitely not. But then that happens so late in the film that it's just basically scares and then the credits.
Yeah.
Whereas this happens about 45 minutes into Apostle.
But it does keep happening. So you're like,
No, but I'm saying it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's good that it happens early enough in the film that the rest of the film can elaborate on the setting that it, it has 40 minutes of lulling you into a false sense of security in terms of like, I know where this is going. I know what's going to happen. And then 40 minutes in, it's like, bang, no, you don't. And let me tell you about this world that you're actually in.
Yeah, but then it does keep asking more questions as well. Because it's like, as soon as you find out that the cult were tricking him, because that was your question all along, it's like, is it going to be Wicker Man? Is it going to be a bait and switch thing?
Yeah.
So, well, no, is the goddess a hallucination?
Right.
And you're like, no, the goddess isn't a hallucination.
Yeah.
It's real. And then you go, okay, well, maybe is Theon going to get pregnant? And it's no, she's going to die.
That stuff's sort of secondary, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, no, I agree, but
that's not a plot mystery in the same way of
is
the
witch
cult.
Real?
Are the cult real? Yeah.
One thing I did appreciate is the combat scenes.
Yeah.
Now, from what I've described so far in the recap, it's like if you haven't seen the film, you'd be surprised to learn there's quite a few like intense close quarter fight scenes.
Yeah.
Which are really good. They're sudden, they're brutal, which is what you would expect from a Gareth Evans movie.
Yes.
Having seen The Raid and The Raid 2.
He certainly has the experience.
Yeah. His Wikipedia page describes him as an action choreographer as much as a director and writer.
Yeah, I think that's true, and that I think he holds the camera quite a lot when he's directing movies, and he gets so much energy into the camera movements in his films. So it's things like if people are thrown over, the camera will
go with them.
Yeah, and the camera will end up like lying on the floor with the character.
Yeah.
And if they get in The Raid, if someone does a backflip, the camera will do a backflip with them, and it's like really kinetic and full of energy. And it's like certainly when I saw The Raid, I was absolutely blown away.
Even in this, there's a scene where someone stops when they're walking, and the camera holds with them, and they look down to their pocket, and the camera like follows their gaze. And it's just those very subtle movements.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that Nerdwriter video about David Fincher? Apparently, he choreographs his camera work alongside the very subtle gestures characters make,
like head turning and things like that.
Exactly, yeah, or just like eyebrow movements and stuff. It's very subtle.
Yeah, but I think he is. I mean, I can't think of a better fight choreographer than.
Well, he works a lot with Yeyan Ruyan, who's he's played Mad Dog in The Raid.
Right. Yeah. And he's in Star Wars.
I think he's now choreographing all the fight scenes in Star Wars. That's why he's in it.
And Iko Uwais is in it as well, isn't he?
Yes. No, he wasn't in it. He was in Star Wars.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he was with Mad Dog.
Oh, really? Just like.
Was it the Kanja Club or whatever they're called?
Something like that, yeah. Yes. So there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I think because there are sort of 3 fight scenes that I can really remember, which are proper fight scenes.
You got Jeremy versus Quinn, Thomas versus
the
masked
guards. Actually, there are quite a few fight scenes because there's the assassination sequence, which is a sort of 5 to 10 second fight scene, but a good one. Then Jeremy, is it his name?
The kid.
Yeah. And Quinn have a protracted fight scene. Then Thomas escapes from some guards by like kicking one of their knees in and stabbing them with each other's spears. Then you've got him versus the masked thing, which is more of a like sort of Saw type set up, isn't it? Because he's being fed into a mulching
it's
machine.
Weird.
Yeah. And then there's him and Quinn have a fight scene.
At
and
the end.
Thomas gets stabbed, I think,
Then
6 or 7
Quinn
times.
gets like eviscerated.
Yes, it's like Green Room, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's violent. It's
Yeah.
a very violent film.
Yeah. Oh man. So there's a cult in this movie.
Yes.
Does it have a name?
I think their religion has a name, doesn't it? But I can't remember what it is.
Goddess of the Welsh Island cult.
Michael Sheen's Goddess Island.
What is it about cults that is scary? Because they're in a lot of horror movies, aren't they? What is it that you think that is worrying about them?
I think they're probably scary for the same reasons we find most horror villains scary, in that they often can't be reasoned with and are a slave to someone or something else's design and rule. So in my head, if you're confronted with a cult, it's something like Kill List, which is terrifying because you don't get the sense that a naked person in a forest wearing a wicker mask running towards you and screaming can be negotiated with.
Right, exactly.
Right. And I think there's something quite powerfully frightening about the idea of, normal humans who, for whatever reason, have been told or convinced of something that makes them so committed to a cause that they're willing to fanatically die in defense of it.
And kill.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, right? If you've ever argued with a member of your extended family or something like that about some racist or sexist belief that they have, you understand the feeling of like confronting an immovable opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I think getting wound up at a dinner party is one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And being burned alive in The Wicker Man is the other end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
But if it is a spectrum, you quickly run out of tactics anywhere on that spectrum because you are up against an immovable force, which is just weird piety, right?
Yeah.
Weird adherence to this like belief system. And we know from the real world how upsetting cults and their adherence can be. In Manson family, Jonestown, things like that, right?
Yeah.
They're examples of where people have been compelled to do things which are just like unthinkable.
Yeah, Heaven's Gate is the one that always freaks me out.
Yeah.
The idea of all those people in bunk beds.
Yeah.
It's really chilling.
Yeah. It's nice.
Cults are scary, I think, unambiguously. And I think the idea that there's like a closed off sect of people who are following a charismatic leader or a sort of strange doctrine is quite threatening. And as you say, when you look at real life cults of all sizes and shapes and whatever, and we're not like, I'm not getting all, the BBC is a cult, actually, if you think about it.
Right.
But like, as in any society, or like, I don't know, if you said, for example, North Korean fanatics they're a kind of cult, right? Because they follow a charismatic leader who tells them this thing that is not objective fact, but they believe it and act accordingly based off of that information. I know it's slightly different because they're
I think there are criteria for like recognizing what a cult is. I think it has to be usually from a religion. They'll spin some like it's a type of Christianity into a cult or a type of Islam into a cult.
Right.
But if you think about it on those terms, like Scientology is a cult and Mormonism is a cult because they started from those same places.
Right.
Whether they've grown out of cult status, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because of size. And I don't think North Korea would count because, like, could you be rescued?
Is there a doctrine?
Yeah. But you do have to be deprogrammed from coming out of North Korea.
That is true, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that there is a doctrine to North Korean things because, they believe that
Kim Il-sung is the god on earth, sort of thing.
Yeah, and Kim Jong-il
with his son.
But like he invented golf and like just all sorts of mad shit like that, right? So it's like, he was
the first person to get 18 holes in one.
18 holes in one, right? That's an obviously ridiculous statement. Okay, that Kim Jong-il, it was Kim Jong-il.
It's
right?
Kim Jong-il, yeah.
Got 18 holes in one in a round of golf, right? But the fact is that will be believed by some people in North Korea because they are indoctrinated. And I suppose in that sense that it is a cult.
Yeah.
And this is the last episode of the How to Survive podcast.
Hard labour for you, my friend.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
So we're agreed that cults are pretty scary.
Yes.
I think it becomes even more sinister when you consider that, some person, usually a man, and usually a white man, particularly in Hollywood movies, becomes judge, jury, and executioner and starts killing people based on this bizarre belief system.
Yeah.
Like most of the movies we cover are somewhat schlocky, but can you imagine how horrible it would be to actually be like burned alive in the Wicker Man, or crucified on a corn crucifix, or burned alive in a burlap sack like in Mandy, or this movie. Which, I mean, the difference with those examples is that the camera remains somewhat objective. It's like a documentary about this is what looking at someone being burned alive would be like. But in Apostle, you actually get the point of view of someone whose head is being crushed in a vice, and
his vision goes
blurs and there's blood shoots across it. And like that helps you, I think, to come to terms with how awful it would be to be dealt with by a cult.
Yeah, and it's horrifying. Quinn leans in and says something like, I wanted this, as he's about to drill into his fucking brain. It's so horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, mate. What a film.
Well, what about the cult of Netflix, Joe?
Yeah.
They get a hard rap. And justifiably so, because most of their films are terrible.
Yeah. What are you thinking of there?
Cloverfield
Bright.
Paradox.
Bright, is that what's called?
Yeah, Bright was a film. I haven't seen it.
Is that one with Will Smith?
Yeah, that is the one with Will Smith. Yeah. The Cloverfield Paradox was one that I watched, and that was dreadful. I think they. So the thing is to remember with Netflix is that they're not often necessarily producing the films. They're just partnering with films for distribution purposes. So when we say that their films are getting better, like the Netflix originals or whatever they call them are getting better, it's more like their selection of films is getting better. And a good example of this is Annihilation, which is to anyone who's outside of the US, is a Netflix original because Paramount bottled distributing it internationally because they thought people wouldn't get it. Right. And they had misgivings about how much money it would make in cinemas.
We have covered Annihilation. Go back and listen to that if you haven't already.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of films that we've covered on Netflix which are, at least in this country, in the UK, new on Netflix or Netflix original films, right? Just within the sort of last year or so, we had Annihilation, Cargo, The Ritual, Apostle, Gerald's Game, Hold the Dark, Hush. Like they're all pretty good films. I haven't seen Haunting of Hill House, but that's Mike Flanagan, who directed Hush and directed Gerald's Game, who made that. And then they've also got Beasts of No Nation, Okja, 22nd of July, and then there's a few films coming out. Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, which is the Jon Favreau Jungle Book film.
Live action.
Yeah. Bird Box, which is, I've seen the trailer for, and it's essentially A Quiet Place, but you can't look instead of... Yeah, it looks interesting. I think that's coming out in December on Netflix. And then they've got forthcoming films from the Coen brothers, which at the time of recording, actually, I think is coming out this week. So by the time you hear this, it will be out. Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah. And the one with James Franco.
Yeah, I mean, it's an anthology, isn't it? So there's a bunch of people in it. Tom Waits is in it.
Nice.
And there's a film by Alfonso Cuarón coming out called Roma, which is a Netflix original as well. So it's like, I mean, they're definitely some coups for Netflix as a platform to get the distribution.
They got the memo, didn't they?
Yeah. And, is it the future, do you think?
It has to be. I mean, Amazon have been kind of leading the charge on actually producing their own films.
Yeah, I guess so.
The big win for them was Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
Which was nominated for Oscars and stuff. And I think it was the
that's,
first.
That's the goal for both of the platforms, I think, isn't it? To be the first streaming service to win a Best Picture Oscar or something like that.
Did Manchester by the Sea not win?
No, I don't think it did. Was that not Moonlight and La La Land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Manchester by the Sea?
No.
Yeah, because of the politics with Casey Affleck, or just never got around to it.
Yeah, it was bad timing with that, I think.
Yeah. It's a very good film if you can get past the fact that, you know, you're a libtard.
Yeah. SJW, pathetic. Do you think it's good?
Well,
like, if that is the future, is that a good thing?
I think so. I think it kind of
democratizes film in a way.
It does, yeah. Like, because we can now. I mean, but then again, right? We would always seek out films that we like.
Yeah.
We'd go to the Picture House Cinema at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday to watch the only showing of like an obscure film because we want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's on Netflix, I can watch it anytime, all the better.
Yeah.
But
you do lose something though, right? Like,
you do, yeah, the experience. I still would for certain films.
Right, exactly. We're
there.
both advocates of the theatrical presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think I would have seen Mission Impossible
Fallout.
Yeah, unless it was in IMAX, for instance. Like, because there's
an experiential quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think there's a lot of hand wringing about the idea, and it's often from directors, isn't it? It's a lot of hand wringing about the idea of people just watch, people are just going to watch Roma by Alfonso Cuarón on their phones, and it's going to spoil the experience. But the thing is, the people who watch stuff on their phones aren't watching Alfonso Cuarón's Roma, are they? They're not going to be watching Ballad of Buster Scruggs by Coen Brothers. So the people...
If you're on the train, you look over someone's shoulder, you guarantee they're going to be watching like Strictly Come Dancing.
There's someone watching Netflix on the train next to me today. They're watching The Big Bang Theory.
Why?
They're not going to be watching, a sort of meditative black and white film about Romany people, are they? Like,
they might,
but maybe they will. But
maybe they save that when they get in,
right? Exactly,
on their home projector,
right? But more power to them. Yeah. In that case, then I don't think. I'm a massive advocate of the theatrical experience, but I'm not so much of an advocate that, like, I think. The Apostle is a good film, and I'm glad that I got to watch it in my home rather than going to the cinema and paying 15 quid and travel for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was fine. It was a fine Sunday afternoon film.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, I think if I'd gone to see Hold the Dark, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. I quite liked just laying on the sofa.
Yeah.
But then watching something like The Witch, I think I'd have missed out on something.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
That in a big screen experience is because you want it to overwhelm you.
You have to be disciplined with your own viewing habits almost, don't you? You have to make sure that you don't have your phone next to you or your laptop next to you or whatever.
Yeah.
Which can be very difficult when you're watching it at home.
Yeah. Good
and
film
it's difficult
hygiene.
for some people in the cinemas as well.
Yeah.
Here's a little aside. We went to see Widows last week, which is a fantastic film. It's probably still in cinemas. We went in there, you and I, and the film's rated 15. So maybe a 4-year-old.
You're being generous. two or three.
A toddler was in there with
both parents.
The
thing is, the movie opens with one of the most intense action scenes I've seen a movie open with in some time.
Yeah.
Like, it's jaw-dropping.
And it's not like Hollywood action.
No.
Rubber bullets. It's Steve McQueen doing,
blunt force
gritty, visceral action.
Yeah. And this baby's just then like, crank it up, bro.
Great.
Another one of those.
Perfect film for a 4-year-old.
After the 4th or 5th person said motherfucker in the film, I was like, this is not right.
This is not good, is it?
Luckily, they were ejected.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I've thought about that a lot. Like, I feel like I should have gone to them and said, like, not to them, but to the. How do they sell a ticket to them? How do they get in there? Someone's gone like there's so many steps in place to stop this happening
for the child.
Yeah, it must have done.
Imagine that. Can I get a child ticket for widows, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no problem. Oh, mate. All right, so you know a thing or two about movies, do you?
Yeah. Yep.
know a thing about cults, do you?
Yes.
What do you know about movies about cults?
Let's find out.
Let's find out in my cult movies quiz. Okay, so I'm going to name the leader of a cult in a film, and you tell me what the movie is.
Okay.
Bonus points if you can name the cult.
Right. I'm not going to be able to name this cult.
Question 1.
Mm-hmm.
Lancaster Dodd.
The Master.
Yep. What year?
2015?
Nah, 2012. P.T. Anderson's.
Yeah. Do you know what? When you said, it's a movie about cult leaders, I was like, what cult movies do I know? The Master.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine you had the same thought process when you were writing the quiz, which is why we came
Question
up with the same
2.
answer.
Question 2. Patrick.
Oh, Patrick. Fucking hell. Martha Marcy May Marlene?
Correct.
Is it?
Yeah.
Sick.
Sean Birkin from 2011.
That's a very good film.
Haven't seen it. I will watch it.
Spoilers. There's a cult in it.
Question 3.
Yes.
Isaac Kroner.
Isaac Kroner. I have no idea. Any sort of clue?
We've covered it.
Hellraiser?
No, that's not a cult.
No, I don't know.
It's Children of the Corn.
Ah, of course it is. Yeah.
Fritz Kirsch, 1984.
Sure.
Roman Castevet.
Oh,
It's a good name.
yeah, I recognise it as well. Is this a film we've covered?
Yep.
How recently?
In the last year, I guess. I don't know.
A cult movie that we've covered within the last year. No, I'm not. I can't remember the name of it.
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby, of course.
Roman
it is.
Polanski, 1968. Question 5, I think. Mola Ram.
Is it a film we've covered?
No.
Have I seen it?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Like, is it a me film?
Yeah, I'd say so. In a different way to what you're probably thinking of here.
Like, not a Coen Brothers film?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Temple of Doom.
Right. Okay,
Spielberg,
yeah.
1984.
Yeah. Okay.
Final question.
Yeah.
Should be an easy one for you.
Okay.
One.
Oh, what, the Matrix?
No. Werewolves on Wheels.
Fuck.
Michelle Levesque, 1971. I don't know how you didn't get that.
Yeah. It's great. It's one of my
You've not seen
favourite
it?
films. Oh, I love Levesque and her works.
There you go.
Thank you.
So that's your cult movie.
Great.
Cult films.
Yeah.
Look, see, when you type in cult movies, you just get Fight Club, Pulp Fiction.
Fight Club, a cult movie.
It's a cult movie because it's like cult.
It's not though, is it? It's like one of the most popular films of all time.
Well, so what you consider a cult movie to be something like Sorcerer.
Green Room or Sorcerer or something like that
has a cult.
Has a cult following, yeah.
And a cult following. All right. If you were in this island,
yeah,
how would you survive it?
Well, the film got so weird that I only have one survival suggestion, but I think it's a good one.
But it's remained weird for the 5 days after
yes,
watching
exactly.
it as well.
Yeah. It's a good idea though, I think, and it's for the King's assassin.
Right.
Don't preempt your attacks with grandiose statements.
For the king and country. It's like, well, he's an assassin.
Yeah, because he like brandishes the knife and says, "For the king." Yeah. And what you want to do is say "for the king" after you've already stabbed him 6 times.
Yeah. Because if you're like, oh, do you know what? Malcolm, how many to my feet? I want to say it loud and proud.
Yeah, well, this is what I said. I said, why not try... oh, sorry, I think I've lost my voice a bit. You'll have to lean in a little bit closer.
Yeah. Then stick it in his...
I'd love to recite this passage, but I can only do it whispering because I feel that brings me closer to her goddessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah, don't preempt your attacks with grand statements that give away your motive.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point.
Yeah, how about you? Other than that point?
I agree with it. That's one I didn't write down, but I did think when watching it.
Right.
Like shouting, "I'm going to attack you" before you attack someone.
Yeah.
A quick one. Take your shoes off when you're sneaking around.
Okay.
Everyone seems to be walking on these creaky floorboards, like thumping their way around.
You wouldn't want to get in that river of blood with bare feet, though, would you? Or at all.
No, that's true. But you wouldn't need them if you were wearing, I don't know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be arousing suspicion if you weren't clumping around in your beetle crunches.
I don't, yeah.
It's a bit of a throwaway. I thought that last week as well when in the movie we covered last week, Hold the Dark. There's a scene where someone's creeping around a wooden building.
Right.
And I was like, just take your shoes off, you maniac.
It's very cold, though.
Yeah,
Hold the Dark.
Next one you'll call mealy mouth, probably.
Okay.
Just pull out.
What a mealy-mouthed idea.
Just pull out and then...
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this
Works
the place
every time, right?
Is this the place to raise a child? There's a famine on.
Yeah, that is true. They've got designs to leave, haven't they? They've got a boat.
That's true. But he chops the boat up with an axe.
Yeah, that is true. He's not thought that through at all, is he?
There's holes in it.
If only I had a boat.
I think like they're infatuated with each other, and the young love I'm all for. But come on, look around you. No one's going to be happy with this out. Like no one is going to be like.
But
yes.
they're indoctrinated, aren't they? You're going to struggle to convince them. Like,
if that's the case, they wouldn't be shagging. They'd be.
I don't think that's true. Because people in all religions and creeds and stuff, you know, young love exists, doesn't it? And it's to return to your main point, I don't think we should advertise the pull-out method as in a completely effective form of contraception.
I'm not advertising anything.
Well, yeah, but you're saying this is how you would. What you're essentially saying is you'd prevent yourself from getting pregnant by doing this.
But mate,
but
like, my parents swore by it, and look at me.
Yeah, so do my 7 brothers and 18 sisters.
Yeah. Oh, my parents had never sworn by any contraception to me, I don't think.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine?
Imagine your dad telling you that. Listen, Joe, if you want to be like your dad. Can you imagine anything more horrible than your dad sitting you down, like having the talk with you and just going, just pull out, son. Just pull out. Just like your father did.
Just imagine this was the one episode your dad listened to. Because my dad doesn't listen, as far as I know.
No, mine doesn't either.
So he'd be like, oh, great, finally.
Finally a film that I've seen.
Yeah.
Apostle.
And he gets to the end, and what does he get for his trouble?
Yeah. I'll just skip to a random point in the podcast.
Oh, mate. Final point is for everyone on Earth.
Okay.
Just to have the same level of like investigative skills that Quinn clearly has. Because he has a line where he says, "It was I who discovered what she could do for us." And then it cuts away to the 3 of them holding the goddess down while he cuts a rabbit's throat and forces her to drink the blood.
Yeah.
How did you get to this?
Yeah, it didn't show his working, did it?
So he's hit upon something that really works here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. Like, how many things did you try?
Yeah.
There's another lady here. Pin her down.
Yeah.
Grab that rabbit.
Yeah. Oh, she looks hungry. Why don't we feed her the blood of rabbit? What?
Well,
where did you get that from?
Well, who's got any better ideas? Come on. Oh, mate. Not an ethical experiment, but an effective one. So there you have it.
There you have it.
Apostle.
Yeah.
If you have any thoughts on how you'd survive in Apostle, any of the movies we cover, or if you have any thoughts on movies we should cover next, then do get in touch on our email address, which is howtosurvive@gmail.com, or on Twitter, which is @howtosurvivepod. Any good tweets, mate?
No.
That's good then. Good thing we keep paying them. Keep paying Twitter, don't we? How much does that cost us?
Oh, it's a fortune, mate.
Yeah.
That's what I tell you anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, £50 a month for that. What's going on?
Yeah. I haven't got
Should
your
we
share.
increase the
I haven't got
budget?
your share actually.
We'll increase the budget.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes, as that helps us find a big audience, bruv. And you can start the cult of How to Survive.
Mm-hmm. And we'll read out your 5-star review on air.
Yes.
That's what we're doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what next week is, mate?
Yes, I do.
Go on.
Do you?
Yeah. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Matrix Reloaded. What is it?
A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Oh.
The second in our Nightmare on Elm Street recap. 5.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 40% Rotten Tomatoes, 43% Metacritic.
One to look forward to.
Yeah.
And what's after that? TBD.
You'll have to tune in next week to find out. Because we haven't decided yet.
Till then.
In fact, yeah. Send in your emails now.
Yeah.
Don't bother. We'll have already recorded the next episode by the time you listen to this.
Will we? Maybe not.
Probably. I don't know.
How about this? First email that comes in, that's the movie we cover.
Oh my God. You're playing with
And
fire, Joe.
I will hold myself to that. As long as we haven't covered it before and it's at least somewhat relevant to what we do. If someone's like, oh, do the Flintstones movie, you can fuck off. No, fuck it, anything. Anything goes. It's listener bonanza, listener requests. The first email we received.
This is like listener Russian roulette.
It is, yeah. It can't email, he's banned, but anyone else, just tell us.
So we're recording this on the 12th of November.
Yeah.
Is it the first recommendation we get from now until then?
No, it has to be like after once I make this announcement.
Right. This podcast goes out on the 21st of November.
Right. So after midnight on the 21st of November, the first recommendation we get is the next movie we cover.
You're playing with fire.
I don't mind.
Maybe you like getting burned.
Do it, mate, anything goes. Flintstones movie. If you do the Flintstones movie, that'd be fine.
You just want to do the Flintstones movie.
No, I don't. Listen. If you want to send us a Flintstones movie.
Fine.
What do you want to do? Let's balance it.
We get recommendations all the time, right?
Yeah. We've got
genuine recommendations,
yeah.
Earnest recommendations. We've had multiple people requesting the same films. But what you've done, right, is you've gone, right, here's a red rag. Right now, all you bulls charge directly at me, right?
But only one can win.
And they're all going to be like, "Oh, do like Salo or whatever it is, or do
120 Days of Sodom.
Yeah, do this 12-hour Taiwanese slow cinema movie."
We're not mental, though. I mean, come on.
No, but you just said you'd hold yourself to it.
Okay, it has to be under 2 hours, under 2.5 hours. Other than that,
now this is just mealy mouth.
No, you're talking yourself back into it.
No. We'll see what happens. See what happens.
Anything goes.
Anything goes, but also not anything goes.
No, don't listen to him. We'll do anything. Anything for the listeners.
Yes, anything for our cult.
Until next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye and good luck.